My husband's ex-wife broke into our house at 3 a.m., stood over my bed holding scissors and said, "That baby should be mine." When my husband woke up, she'd already cut a lock of my hair. She was arrested and released on bail. That was 5 months ago. Last week, officers found a shrine in her basement, my ultrasound photos, baby clothes in my son's size, and a detailed abduction plan scheduled for my due date. My name is Rachel, and I'm 32 years old. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd need to check every window lock 3 times before bed or sleep with pepper spray on my nightstand. But here we are. The morning after they found the shrine, I sat in Detective Morrison's office staring at photos I wasn't supposed to see. My ultrasound pictures? The ones I'd posted on social media, sure, but also ones from doctor's appointments that should have been private. She'd somehow gotten inside the clinic's system or bribed someone. I don't know which possibility scared me more. My husband Marcus sat next to me, his jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. He kept apologizing, over and over, like this was somehow his fault for having been married before, for having loved someone who turned out to be capable of this. We're issuing a warrant for her immediate arrest, Detective Morrison said. The bail hearing was a mistake. We had no idea about the extent of her obsession. A mistake, I repeated. The word felt hollow. She stood over my bed with scissors 5 months ago, and you let her out on bail. Marcus reached for my hand. I let him take it, but I couldn't look at him. I was too angry. Not at him exactly, but at everything. At the universe for putting me in this situation. Where is she now? I asked. Detective Morrison shifted in his seat. We don't know. She's not at her residence. We have officers searching. My blood went cold. You don't know where she is. Mrs. Patterson, we have your home under surveillance. We've assigned protective detail. You're safe, I laughed. Actually laughed. I was supposed to be safe 5 months ago when she broke into my house. The detective showed us more photos from the basement, not just the shrine. There were notebooks, pages and pages of writing, plans, timelines. She'd detailed everything. What hospital I'd be delivering at, what time visiting hours ended, which exits had the least security coverage. She'd even sketched out a floor plan. She's been planning this for months, Morrison said. Possibly since the day she found out you were pregnant. Marcus's hand tightened around mine. How did she even know which hospital? She called your insurance company pretending to be Rachel, Morrison explained. Got the list of in-network hospitals. Then she narrowed it down based on proximity to your home and online reviews you'd left on hospital comparison sites. I felt sick. Every little thing I'd done, every innocent review I'd posted, every detail I'd shared on social media, she'd used it all to build this elaborate plan. There's more, Morrison said, hesitating. We found receipts. She'd already purchased plane tickets. 2 adults, 1 infant, to Canada for 3 days after your due date. Canada, I whispered. She was going to take him across the border. We believe so. We've contacted Canadian authorities. They're aware of the situation. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. I looked at Detective Morrison and he nodded, quickly setting up recording equipment. I answered on speaker. Rachel. The voice was soft, feminine, eerily calm. Victoria, Marcus's ex-wife. Where are you? I managed to say. I just wanted to explain, she said. Nobody's letting me explain. Explain breaking into my home? Explain planning to kidnap my baby? He's not just your baby, Victoria said, and her voice cracked. Marcus promised me children. We tried for 7 years. 7 years of treatments and disappointments and hoping. Then he leaves me, and 6 months later, you're pregnant. Do you have any idea what that feels like? My hand instinctively went to my belly. I was 8 months along. My son kicked against my palm like he could sense the tension. Victoria, what you're feeling is understandable. Detective Morrison cut in, his voice practiced and calm, but the way you're handling it isn't. Let us help you. Tell us where you are, she laughed. It sent chills down my spine. Help me? Nobody helped me when my marriage fell apart. Nobody helped me when I had to sign those divorce papers. Nobody helped me when I saw pregnancy announcement photos all over Facebook. I'm sorry you're hurting, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I could hear the pain in her voice. But this isn't the answer. You need help. Professional help. I needed a baby, she whispered. That's all I ever needed. The line went dead. Detective Morrison immediately made calls. Tracing the number, dispatching units, barking orders. Marcus pulled me close, and I finally let myself cry against his chest. We need to leave town, I said. Right now. We can't stay here. We will, Marcus promised. We'll pack and go. My parents have that cabin in Vermont. Nobody knows about it except family, but even as he said it, I knew. I knew it wouldn't be that simple. We went home with a police escort, 2 officers stationed outside our house. As we packed, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every shadow seemed to move. Every creak of the house settling made me jump. I was folding tiny onesies when I found the lock of my hair. I'd forgotten about it. After that night 5 months ago, after she'd cut it while I slept, the police had taken it as evidence. But apparently they'd returned it with other belongings and Marcus had tucked it away in a drawer. Seeing it there, that piece of me she'd taken, made everything real again. She'd been that close, standing over me while I was vulnerable and asleep. Close enough to touch me, close enough to hurt me. But she'd only taken hair. At the time, I thought that meant she had some restraint, some line she wouldn't cross. Now I wondered if she was just waiting, planning, building up to something bigger. Marcus, I said as I was folding baby clothes, did you ever tell Victoria about the cabin? He froze, a shirt halfway into his suitcase. We went there once, early in our marriage. Why? So she knows about it. His face went pale. Rachel, that was over a decade ago. She wouldn't remember. She remembered enough to find my private ultrasound photos. She remembered enough to plan an abduction down to the date and time. I sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. We can't go to the cabin. He sat next to me. Then where? That's when I remembered. My best friend Melissa had just bought a beach house in Delaware. She'd been begging me to visit, but with the pregnancy and everything happening, I'd kept putting it off. I called her, explained everything. She didn't hesitate. "Get here now," she said. "I'll have the guest room ready." "Rachel, I'm so sorry this is happening." We left within the hour. Detective Morrison wasn't happy about us leaving the state, but he couldn't legally stop us. He made us promise to check in daily and keep our phones on at all times. The drive to Delaware was tense. Marcus kept checking the rearview mirror. I tried to sleep, but couldn't. Every car behind us felt like a threat. Every rest stop seemed dangerous. We stopped once for gas and bathroom breaks. I waddled into the convenience store bathroom, hyper-aware of every person around me. A woman with dark hair pumping gas. A teenager on her phone. An elderly man buying coffee. Any of them could be Victoria. She could have disguised herself. Changed her appearance. I was washing my hands when I saw it, written in the condensation on the mirror. Fresh. Someone had just written it. Soon. I stumbled back, my heart pounding. I ran out of the bathroom, found Marcus at the pump. "We need to go. Now." "What happened?" "She's here." Or she was here. "Marcus, she's following us." We got back in the car and drove. Marcus called Detective Morrison, who sent state police to the rest stop, but by the time they arrived, there was nothing. No evidence. No surveillance footage that showed anything useful. The cameras in the bathroom had been broken for weeks. Could have been anyone, Morrison said over the phone. Could have been there for days, but I knew better. I felt it in my bones. She was watching us, tracking us, always one step ahead. We arrived at Melissa's beach house around midnight. She'd left the lights on for us, and when she opened the door, I broke down completely. She held me while I sobbed, and Marcus brought our bags in, his eyes scanning the dark beach beyond the house like Victoria might emerge from the waves. "You're safe here," Melissa said. "I haven't posted about this house anywhere online. Nobody knows about this place except my family." Melissa had been my rock through everything. We met freshman year of college, bonded over a shared love of terrible reality TV and late-night pizza. She'd been there through my first heartbreak, my father's passing, my early career struggles. She was the sister I never had. "How are you even functioning?" she asked as she made us tea in her kitchen. Marcus had gone upstairs to shower. "I'd be a complete wreck." "I am a complete wreck," I said. "I'm just really good at hiding it." She sat across from me, studying my face. "You're not sleeping. Would you be able to sleep?" "No," she admitted. "Rachel, I can't even imagine what you're going through, but you need to rest. For the baby, you're going to make yourself sick." I knew she was right. I could feel the exhaustion in my bones. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Victoria standing over my bed, felt the violation of waking up to find a piece of me missing. That first night, I barely slept. The sound of the ocean was supposed to be soothing, but every wave sounded like footsteps. Every distant call of a seabird sounded like a voice. At dawn, I gave up on sleep and went downstairs. Melissa was already up, making coffee. "Decaf for you," she said, sliding a mug across the counter. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Mel, I'm supposed to be excited about becoming a mom. I'm supposed to be nesting and reading baby books and worrying about normal things like whether I'll be a good parent. Instead, I'm running for my life from a woman who wants to steal my child." Melissa came around the counter and hugged me. "You're going to get through this," she said. "And in a few weeks, you're going to have a beautiful baby boy, and this will all be behind you." I wanted to believe her. I really did. Marcus came down an hour later. He looked like he'd aged 5 years overnight. We sat on the deck overlooking the ocean, and for a moment, it almost felt normal, like we were just a couple on a baby moon, enjoying the quiet before our lives changed forever. Then his phone rang. Detective Morrison. Marcus put it on speaker. "We found her car," the detective said. "Abandoned at a bus station in Philadelphia." Philadelphia was less than 2 hours away. "But we pulled security footage," Morrison continued. "She didn't get on a bus. She got into another vehicle, a rental. We're working on tracing it, but it's registered under a fake name, so she could be anywhere," I said. "We're doing everything we can. Mrs. Patterson, in the meantime, stay where you are and stay vigilant." After the call ended, Marcus and I just sat there. The ocean suddenly didn't seem peaceful anymore. It seemed vast and impossible to monitor. She could come from anywhere. "Maybe we should go to the police station," I said. "Stay there until they catch her. And give birth in a jail cell?" Marcus shook his head. "Rachel, we can't live like that. We have to trust that they'll find her." But I couldn't trust that. Not anymore. The next few days passed in a blur of anxiety. I tried to relax. Melissa made my favorite meals. We watched movies. Marcus rubbed my feet and told me everything would be okay. But every time the doorbell rang or a car drove past, my heart would race. Melissa tried to distract me. We took short walks on the beach, always staying close to the house. She showed me the nursery she'd started setting up for when we visited with the baby. She'd painted it a soft blue, bought a crib, hung little sailboat decorations. "I was so excited," she said. "I kept imagining bringing Oliver here for summers, teaching him to build sand castles, taking him for ice cream at that place down the boardwalk. We'll still do all of that," I said, trying to convince myself as much as her. But would we? Would I ever feel safe enough to bring my baby anywhere? Would I spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering if Victoria was watching? On the third day, my mother called. I'd been avoiding her calls, not wanting to worry her, but she was persistent. "Rachel Ann Patterson, you answer me right now or I'm driving down there," I answered. "Hi, Mom. Don't you hi, Mom me." Melissa called me, told me what's happening. "Why didn't you tell me yourself?" Because I couldn't bear to hear the worry in her voice. Because my dad had died 3 years ago and she was all I had left and I didn't want her to be scared for me. "I didn't want you to stress," I said. "Well, I'm stressed now. My daughter is being stalked by a madwoman and I'm supposed to just sit here and not worry? Mom, I'm safe. The police are looking for her. Everything's going to be fine. I'm coming down there." "No, Mom, you don't need to. I'm already packed. I'll be be there tonight. She hung up before I could argue further. My mom arrived at 7 p.m. with enough food to feed an army. Casseroles, homemade bread, cookies, her famous lasagna. She took one look at me and burst into tears. "My baby," she said, holding me tight, "my sweet girl. I'm so sorry this is happening to you." Having her there helped. She had this way of making everything feel manageable. She'd raised 3 kids mostly on her own after my dad got sick. If anyone knew how to handle a crisis, it was her. That night, the 4 of us sat around Melissa's dinner table like it was just a normal family gathering. Mom told stories about my childhood, about the time I tried to run away from home at age 6 and made it all the way to the end of the driveway before coming back because I forgot my favorite stuffed animal. For a few hours, I almost forgot about Victoria, almost felt normal again. Then, on day 4, something happened that changed everything. I was checking my email when I saw a message from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was blank. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Inside was a video file. I should have called Detective Morrison immediately. I should have closed it and reported it, but I didn't. I clicked play. The video was shaky, filmed on a phone. It showed the inside of what looked like a hotel room, and then Victoria's face filled the screen. "Rachel," she said, and she looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, dark circles under her eyes, her skin pale. "I know you're scared. I know what I did was wrong, but I need you to understand something." She moved the camera, and I gasped. On the bed behind her were documents, medical records, fertility treatment records, photos of her and Marcus from their marriage, both of them smiling at a doctor's office. "We tried everything," Victoria continued, her voice breaking. "Every treatment, every procedure. I had 3 miscarriages, 3 babies that I lost. And through all of it, Marcus promised we'd keep trying. He promised we'd have a family." She picked up a photo. I could see tears streaming down her face. Then one day, he just stopped. He said he couldn't do it anymore, that the treatments were too much, too expensive, too emotionally draining. He wanted to stop trying. She looked directly at the camera. A month later, he filed for divorce. He told me he realized he didn't want children after all. My mouth went dry. Marcus had told me he and Victoria divorced because they wanted different things, that the split was amicable. He'd never mentioned any of this. "So imagine how I felt," Victoria continued, "when I saw his Facebook post announcing your pregnancy. 6 months after our divorce was finalized. 6 months after he told me he didn't want kids." She set the camera down and I could see her whole face now. She wasn't angry. She was devastated. "I'm not trying to justify what I did," she said. "Breaking into your home was wrong. The shrine was wrong. All of it was wrong, and I know that now. But I need you to understand that I didn't just wake up one day and decide to be a monster. I was broken. I am broken. And seeing you have what I wanted so desperately, what I lost my marriage over, it destroyed something in me." She wiped her eyes. "I'm turning myself in," she said. "Today, I just needed you to know the truth about Marcus first. I needed you to know what kind of man you married. Someone who could promise you the world and then take it all away." The video ended. I sat there staring at the blank screen, my mind racing. Marcus came into the room. "Hey, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I turned the laptop toward him. "Tell me this isn't true." He watched the video in silence. When it ended, he closed his eyes. "Marcus, it's complicated," he said quietly, then uncomplicate it. He sat down heavily. "We did try to have kids for years. And yes, we had miscarriages, and yes, the treatments were brutal. But Rachel, it wasn't just about the money or the emotional toll. It's because," he paused, "because I realized I didn't want children with her. I didn't love her anymore. Maybe I never did, not the way I should have. And bringing a child into that seemed wrong. So you lied to her," I said. "You told her you didn't want kids at all. I thought it would be easier, less hurtful than telling her I just didn't want them with her. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. And you didn't think to tell me any of this? You let me believe she was just some crazy ex-wife when really you destroyed her? I didn't destroy her. She made her own choices. After you betrayed her in the worst possible way." I stood up, my hands shaking. "Marcus, she lost 3 babies. 3. And then you divorced her and immediately knocked me up. How did you think she'd react?" "I didn't immediately. It was 6 months. 6 months! We'd been dating for what, 4 months when I got pregnant? Which means you started dating me while you were still married." His silence was all the confirmation I needed. "Oh my God," I whispered. "You cheated on her. That's why you really divorced. Rachel, please, get out." "What?" "Get out of this room. Now. I can't look at you right now." He left. I heard him talking to Melissa downstairs, heard her quiet responses, heard the front door open and close. I didn't move. I just sat there, one hand on my belly, trying to process everything. My mom came in a few minutes later. She didn't say anything, just sat next to me and held my hand. "You heard?" I said. Melissa told me. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. How could he lie to me like that? How could he make me think Victoria was just unstable when he drove her to this?" "People are complicated," Mom said quietly. "What Marcus did to Victoria was wrong, but what she's doing now is also wrong. 2 things can be true at once." "I feel like I don't even know him," I said. "The man I married wouldn't do something like that. Would he?" "I don't know, sweetheart, but you need to figure that out. After all this is over, after the baby comes, you need to decide if this is a marriage you want to stay in." My baby kicked. Strong, insistent movements, like he was trying to tell me something. I called Detective Morrison. She sent me a video. I said, "Victoria, I'm forwarding it to you now. She says she's turning herself in. When did you receive this?" "About 10 minutes ago." "And you're just now calling?" I didn't answer. I couldn't explain the complicated knot of emotions in my chest. The anger at Marcus, the unexpected sympathy for Victoria, the fear that maybe I'd been wrong about everything. "Mrs. Patterson, I need you to listen to me carefully," Morrison said, his voice urgent. "That video was sent 4 hours ago. She hasn't turned herself yourself in. We believe it's a manipulation tactic. What do you mean? I mean, she's trying to gain your sympathy, make you doubt your husband, make you let your guard down. We've seen this before in stalking cases. The perpetrator tries to establish a connection with the victim, make them seem more human, more understandable. It's a psychological manipulation, but I wasn't sure he was right. The pain in Victoria's voice had seemed so real, so raw. I'm sending officers to your location, Morrison continued. Extra security. Because if she sent you that video, she knows where you are. My blood ran cold. How would she know? That's what we need to figure out. Is there any way she could have tracked you? I thought about it. My phone, my laptop, my car. Marcus's car. Hold on, I said. I ran downstairs. Melissa was in the kitchen and Marcus was outside on the deck, his back to me. My mom was reading a book on the couch. Mel, where did Marcus park? In the driveway. Why? I ran to the front door and outside. Marcus's SUV sat there, dark blue and innocuous. I walked around it slowly, checking the wheel wells, the undercarriage, the bumpers, and there it was. A small GPS tracker, magnetic, attached under the rear bumper. I called Detective Morrison back. She tracked his car. Within an hour, the house was swarming with police. They swept for other devices, checked our phones, our laptops, everything. The GPS tracker was the only thing they found, but it was enough. Victoria had known exactly where we were the entire time. How long has this been on here? I asked. Based on the model, it has about a 2-week battery life, Morrison said. She likely placed it on your vehicle before you even left home, so she knew we were leaving. She knew we'd come here. It's possible she's been following at a distance, watching, waiting for the right moment. We need to move you again, Morrison said. Somewhere completely off-grid. No phones, no internet, nothing she can track. For how long? I asked. I'm due in 3 weeks. I can't give birth in some safe house. We'll have medical personnel on standby. Mrs. Patterson, I understand this is difficult, but your safety and your baby's safety are the priority. Marcus came back inside. He looked at me and I looked away. I was still too angry to deal with him. Too hurt? Can I have a minute with my husband? I asked anyway. Morrison nodded and everyone stepped outside. Mom gave me an encouraging squeeze on the shoulder before she left. Marcus and I stood there in Melissa's living room, the sound of the ocean through the windows, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows. I'm sorry, he said, for all of it. For not telling you the truth about Victoria. For not being honest about how our marriage ended. For putting you and our son in danger because of my mistakes. Were you in love with me when we got together? I asked. Or was I just an escape from your failing marriage? I love you now, he said. Isn't that what matters? I don't know, I admitted. I don't know anything anymore. Rachel, look at me. Please. I did. His eyes were red, exhausted, full of guilt. I made mistakes. Huge mistakes. I handled my divorce terribly. I lied to Victoria, and I lied to you by omission, but I swear to you, what I feel for you is real. This baby is real. Our life together is real. And I will spend the rest of my life making this up to you if you'll let me. I need time, I said, to think, to process all of this. Okay, take all the time you need. But we didn't have time. That's the thing about being hunted. Time becomes a luxury you can't afford. My baby kicked again, harder this time. I winced. You okay? Marcus reached for me. I'm fine. He's just active. But as the evening went on, the kicks became more frequent, more intense. I felt pressure in my lower back, tightness in my belly. Rachel, are you having contractions? My mom asked during dinner. No, just Braxton Hicks. I've been having them for weeks. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure. These felt different, stronger, more regular. By 8 p.m., I had to admit it. I was in labor. Early labor, but labor nonetheless. It's too soon, I said. I'm not due for 3 more weeks. Babies come when they're ready, Mom said calmly, but I could see the worry in her eyes. We need to get you to a hospital. No, I said immediately. She'll know. She'll be waiting. We don't have a choice, Marcus said. Rachel, you need medical care. Detective Morrison was called back. A plan was formed. We'd go to a different hospital than originally planned. One in Wilmington instead of the local one Victoria might expect. Security would be everywhere. They'd register me under a false name, take every precaution. And then around 9 p.m. I felt it. A warm gush of fluid. Melissa, I called out, trying to keep my voice calm. I think my water just broke. The next few hours were chaos. An ambulance was called. Police escort. I was rushed to the hospital with officers surrounding the vehicle like a presidential motorcade. Melissa held my hand in the ambulance while Marcus drove behind us with more police. My mom was on the phone with my siblings, updating them, her voice shaking despite her attempts to stay calm. The contractions started during the ride. Sharp, intense, taking my breath away. You're going to be okay, Melissa kept saying. Everything's going to be okay. But I couldn't stop thinking about Victoria, about her 3 miscarriages, about the babies she lost and the family she never got to have. Even in labor, even terrified, I felt this awful, crushing sympathy for her. At the hospital, I was taken to a private room. Security was everywhere. Detective Morrison arrived shortly after, looking grim. We still haven't located her, he said, but every entrance to this hospital is being monitored. She won't get near you. Labor progressed slowly. Hours passed. The pain was intense, but I'd refused an epidural. I needed to be alert. I needed to be aware of everything happening around me. Marcus stayed by my side, holding my hand through contractions, whispering encouragements. Despite everything, despite my anger and confusion, I was glad he was there. My mom was on my other side, stroking my hair, telling me I was doing great. You're so strong, she said. Just like when you were little and you fell off your bike. You didn't cry. You just got back up and kept going. That's who you are, Rachel. A fighter. At around midnight, a new nurse came on shift. Then another at 2 a.m. Each one was checked thoroughly by security. IDs verified. Backgrounds confirmed. Nothing was left to chance. At around 3 a.m., a nurse came in to check on me. She was young, blonde, with kind eyes, She smiled warmly as she washed her hands. "You're doing great," she said, checking my vitals. "Won't be much longer now." She adjusted my IV, and I felt a wave of drowsiness wash over me. "Wait," I said, my tongue feeling thick. "I didn't want any pain medication." The nurse smiled. "Just something to help you relax." Marcus stood up. "She said she didn't want anything." The nurse turned to him, and that's when I saw it. A small scar above her left eyebrow. The same scar I'd seen in photos of Victoria. She'd dyed her hair, worn contacts, changed her entire appearance. But it was her. "Victoria," I whispered. She pulled a syringe from her pocket. "Not the one connected to my IV, a different one. Don't move," she said calmly. "Either of you. This is a sedative. A strong one. You'll both be asleep in seconds, and I'll walk right out of here with that baby before anyone notices." My mom was in the bathroom. Security was outside the door. We were alone with her. "There are guards everywhere," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "You'll never make it out." "I've been planning this for months," Victoria said. "I have a uniform, an ID badge, a car in the parking garage. I've studied this hospital's protocols. I know exactly how to walk out of here with a newborn and make it look completely legitimate. I've watched the shift changes. I know when to move. I know which exits to take." She moved toward me and Marcus lunged. She was ready for it. She plunged the syringe into his neck and he crumpled instantly. "Marcus!" I tried to get up, but another contraction hit and I screamed. The bathroom door opened. My mom came out, saw Victoria, saw Marcus on the floor, and immediately understood. "Get away from my daughter," she said, her voice deadly calm. Victoria turned to her, syringe still in hand. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want the baby." "That's my grandson," Mom said. "And you're not taking him." She moved toward the door, toward the call button, but Victoria was faster. She grabbed my mom's arm and they struggled. The syringe fell to the floor. I was helpless, pinned to the bed by labor pains, watching my mother fight a woman who'd lost her mind with grief. "Help!" my mom screamed. "Somebody help!" The door burst open. Security guards flooded in. Victoria was tackled to the ground. My mom stumbled backward, unhurt but shaking. And then, in all the chaos, another contraction, stronger than all the others. I felt pressure. Overwhelming, undeniable pressure. "The baby's coming," someone shouted. Medical staff rushed in. Real nurses. Actual doctors. Victoria was being handcuffed, dragged away, screaming something I couldn't understand through the pain and chaos. Marcus was starting to wake up, groggy, being checked by paramedics. My mom was next to me again, holding my hand. "Push, sweetheart, push." And I did. I pushed like my life depended on it, like my son's life depended on it. 20 minutes later, my baby was born. They placed him on my chest, and I forgot everything else. The fear, the anger, the terror of the past months. All that existed was this tiny, perfect human. My baby, my son. He had a full head of dark hair. Marcus's nose, my chin. He opened his eyes and looked at me, and I fell completely, irrevocably in love. "Hi, Oliver," I whispered. "I'm your mom. You're safe now. You're finally safe." Marcus came over, still unsteady, and looked down at our son. Tears streamed down his face. "He's perfect," he said. "Rachel, he's absolutely perfect." My mom was crying too. Happy tears, relieved tears, exhausted tears all mixed together. Detective Morrison came in a few minutes later. "Victoria's in custody. This time she won't be getting bail. Mrs. Patterson, I'm so sorry this happened. We should have caught her sooner." "Is she okay?" I asked. Victoria, I mean. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. "Why do you care?" Marcus asked. "Because she's sick," I said quietly. "She needs help, not just punishment." They told me later what happened. How Victoria had studied nursing for months before this. How she'd forged credentials, studied the hospital's systems, created a completely false identity. How she'd been working night shifts at this very hospital for 2 weeks, just waiting, watching, planning. The level of organization was terrifying, but it was also tragic. All that intelligence, all that planning, all that effort, channeled into something destructive because her pain had nowhere else to go. Oliver stayed in my arms. They did all the necessary checks without taking him away from me. He was healthy, perfect, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, 19 inches long, born at 3:37 a.m. on a Thursday morning. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Security remained tight. Victoria was transferred to a psychiatric facility for evaluation before her trial. Detective Morrison assured me she'd be locked up for a long time. Attempted kidnapping, assault, identity theft, breaking and entering, he listed. She's looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. But somehow that didn't make me feel better. It just made me sad. Sad for her. Sad for the woman she might have been if things had been different. Sad for the baby she lost and the life she couldn't have. Marcus and I didn't talk about our relationship during those 2 days. We were both too focused on Oliver, on learning how to change diapers and soothe his cries and figure out feeding, on being parents. But on the 3rd day, when we were finally cleared to go home, I made him drive to a coffee shop instead. "We need to talk," I said. We sat outside with Oliver in his car seat between us, watching the morning traffic go by. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said, "for lying to me, for what you did to Victoria." "I understand," he said quietly, "but I also don't know if I want to raise Oliver alone. And I don't know if my anger at you is bigger than my love for you. So I don't know what to do. What do you need from me?" He asked. "The truth. Always. No more secrets. No more omissions. If we're going to make this work, I need complete honesty." "You'll have it," he promised. "Whatever you want to know, I'll tell you." "Were there others?" I asked. "Besides me? Did you cheat on Victoria with anyone else?" He hesitated and my heart sank. "Once," he admitted, "at a conference. Before I met you, it was a one-time thing and I regretted it immediately." "Did she know?" "No, I never told her. I absorbed this." Another betrayal. Another lie? Why? I asked. "Why did you do all of this?" "Because I was a coward," he said. "I didn't know how to leave a marriage I wasn't happy happy in. I didn't know how to tell Victoria the truth, so I sabotaged everything instead. Made choices that would force an ending. And in the process, I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. At least he was being honest now. That had to count for something. We're going to counseling, I said. Both of us. Together and separately. And if I decide I can't do this, you're going to respect that decision and we're going to figure out co-parenting. Okay, he agreed. Whatever you need. We went home. Back to our house that Victoria had broken into months ago. It felt different now. Violated but also reclaimed. We'd survived. We'd made it through. The weeks that followed were exhausting in the way all new parenthood is exhausting. Sleepless nights. Constant feeding. Figuring out what different cries meant. But underneath it all was this current of trauma we were both processing. I had nightmares about Victoria standing over me with scissors. About waking up to find Oliver gone. About her successfully escaping with my baby. I'd wake up gasping. Have to check Oliver's crib 3, 4, 5 times a night to make sure he was really there. Marcus had nightmares too. About not being able to protect us. About failing as a father before he even started. We went to counseling like I'd insisted. Our therapist, Dr. Chen, didn't pull punches. You built your relationship on a foundation of lies, she told Marcus. And now you have to decide if you're willing to do the hard work of rebuilding that foundation. I am, he said. Whatever it takes, she turned to me, and you have to decide if you're willing to let him try. If you can move past this betrayal, or if it's too big to overcome. I didn't have an answer yet. Victoria was sentenced to 5 years with the possibility of parole after 3 if she completed psychiatric treatment. It seemed both too lenient and too harsh at the same time. How do you quantify that kind of crime? That kind of pain? Her lawyer had argued that she'd had a complete mental breakdown, that the combination of infertility struggles, divorce, and seeing her ex-husband immediately start a family had triggered something catastrophic in her psyche. Expert witnesses testified about obsessive disorders, about how grief can manifest in dangerous ways. The prosecution wanted the maximum sentence. They showed the shrine, the detailed plans, the GPS tracker, the fake credentials, the level of premeditation that proved she knew exactly what she was doing. In the end, the judge split the difference. 5 years with mandatory psychiatric treatment, and a permanent restraining order that would extend beyond her release. I'm truly sorry, Victoria said at her sentencing, her voice barely audible. To Rachel, to Marcus, to baby Oliver, I'm sorry for the fear I caused. I'm sorry for my actions. I hope someday you can forgive me. I attended the sentencing. Marcus didn't want me to go, but I needed to see it through. Needed to see her face when she heard her fate, and when she said she was sorry. When she looked at me with those devastated eyes, I believed her. 6 months after Oliver was born, I did something I couldn't explain to anyone. Something that made Marcus furious, and Melissa concerned, and my mom confused. I went to visit Victoria. The prison was 2 hours away. I drove there alone, leaving Oliver with my mom. I thought about this for weeks. Argued with myself, tried to talk myself out of it, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to see her, to talk to her, to understand. Victoria was brought into the visitation room in prison scrubs, her hair back to its natural dark brown, no makeup, looking somehow both younger and older than before. We sat across from each other, a plastic barrier between us, phones to our ears. Why are you here? She asked. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe because I needed to see you as a person instead of a monster. Maybe because I needed to tell you something. What? That I'm sorry too, I said. Not for having Oliver, not for marrying Marcus, but for not seeing your pain sooner, for not understanding what you'd been through. If I'd known, maybe I could have, I don't know, helped somehow. She laughed bitterly. Helped? How? By giving me your baby? By having compassion, I said quietly. By acknowledging that Marcus's behavior toward you was cruel. By recognizing that your pain was valid even if your actions weren't. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, how is he, Oliver? He's perfect, I said, and I pulled out my phone, showed her a photo through the barrier. Him and his bouncer, smiling his first real smile. He has Marcus's eyes but my nose. He hates sleeping. Loves being held. Makes this little cooing sound when he's happy. Victoria stared at the photo, and I saw tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered, for letting me see him. Even just a picture. We talked for an hour. About her therapy. About the work she was doing to understand her actions. About the guilt that consumed her. I think about that night constantly, she said. How close I came to destroying your life. To traumatizing Oliver before he even took his first breath. I think about your mother fighting me. About Marcus collapsing. About the look on your face when you realized who I was. Do you still want to take him? I asked. She considered the question carefully. No, I want my own baby. My own family. But I'm starting to understand that I may never have that. And I'm learning to grieve that loss properly instead of trying to steal someone else's happiness. I hope you do have it someday, I said. And I meant it. I hope you get the help you need, and when you get out, I hope you find peace. I don't deserve your kindness, she said. Maybe not, but I'm giving it anyway. I visited her every few months after that. We didn't talk about what happened. We talked about other things. Books she was reading. The therapy techniques she was learning. My life with Oliver, his milestones, his personality. How he loved to splash in the bath. How he'd started crawling at 7 months. How his first word was Dada, which slightly annoyed me but mostly made me happy. Marcus didn't understand it. She tried to take our son, he said after my 3rd visit. But she didn't, I always replied. In the end, she helped bring him into the world. She called for help instead of running. She only called for help because she got caught, maybe. Or maybe something in her broke through the delusion. I don't know, but I choose to believe people can change. You're more forgiving than I am, he said. I'm not forgiving her, I corrected. I'm acknowledging her humanity. There's a difference. Marcus and I stayed together. We worked through his betrayal in counseling. It wasn't easy. Some days I wanted to throw him out. Other days I remembered why I fell in love with him. He was patient with my anger, honest when I asked difficult questions, present with Oliver in a way that showed he was committed to being a better father than he'd been a husband. I'm learning, he told Dr. Chen during one session, learning that honesty is harder than lying but worth it. Learning that running from problems only creates bigger ones. Learning that I can't undo my past, but I can be better going forward. Is it enough? Dr. Chen asked me. I don't know yet, I said, but it's something. On Oliver's first birthday, we had a small party. Just family and close friends. Melissa came, of course. My mom, my siblings, Marcus's parents, who'd been incredibly supportive through everything. We sang happy birthday. Oliver smashed his little cake all over his face. Everyone laughed and took photos. It was normal. Beautifully, wonderfully normal. That night, after everyone left and Oliver was asleep, Marcus and I sat on our back porch. Thank you, he said. For what? For giving me a chance to be better, for not giving up on us. I haven't decided if I'm staying permanently, I reminded him. We're still figuring this out. I know. But you're here now. You're trying. That means everything. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw the man who'd lied to his first wife and cheated and handled everything wrong, but also saw the man who held Oliver when he cried at 2 a.m., who changed diapers without complaining, who was genuinely trying to become someone worthy of trust. I'm proud of you, I said, for the work you're doing, for being honest even when it's hard. I'm proud of you too, he said, for surviving what you survived, for being strong enough to show compassion to someone who hurt you, for being an amazing mother. We sat in comfortable silence listening to the night sounds, and for the first time in over a year, I felt something like peace. Victoria will be up for parole in a little over 2 years. I plan to write a letter for her hearing, not excusing what she did, but explaining what happened in that hospital room, how she could have gone through with it but chose not to, how she called for help instead. Some people will think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. But when I look at Oliver, when I see him playing and laughing and living his life, I think about how close I came to losing him, and I think about the woman who could have taken him but didn't. That has to count for something. Last week, Oliver said mama for the first time. I cried. Then I took a video and sent it to Melissa, to my parents, to Marcus's family, and then, without really thinking about it, I had them printed out so I could mail it to Victoria. Marcus saw me preparing the envelope. You're sending this to her? Yes. Why? Because she's part of this story, I said. Part of Oliver's story. Part of my story, and pretending she doesn't exist doesn't make her go away. It just makes the fear bigger. He thought about this. You're a better person than I am. No, I said. I'm just trying to heal in my own way. And part of that healing is acknowledging that hurt people. And choosing compassion doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means remembering we're all human. I sealed the envelope, addressed it to Victoria at the correctional facility. Added a note. He's thriving. Thank you for calling for help that night. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't know if I'm helping her healing process or my own or neither. But it feels right. It feels like closing a circle that's been open for too long. Oliver is almost 18 months old now. He walks and talks and has this infectious laugh that makes everyone around him smile. He has no memory of the night he was born. No trauma from the woman who tried to take him. He's just a happy toddler who loves trucks and dogs and throwing food on the floor. Sometimes I watch him sleep and think about how differently everything could have turned out. If Victoria had succeeded, if she'd actually taken him, if I'd lost him before I ever really had him, but I didn't lose him. He's here, safe, loved, growing, and I'm here too. Scarred but surviving. Angry but healing. Learning what it means to forgive without forgetting. To show compassion while maintaining boundaries. To acknowledge pain without being consumed by it. Marcus and I renewed our vows last month. Small ceremony, just us and Oliver and immediate family. It felt right. Like we were starting over with honesty this time. Building something real instead of something based on escape and lies. I promise to be worthy of your trust, he said, tears in his eyes. To be honest, even when it's hard. To be the husband and father you both deserve. I promise to keep trying, I said, to work through my anger. To build a future instead of just surviving the past. We're not perfect. We still fight sometimes. I still have nightmares occasionally. Marcus still carries guilt that probably won't ever completely go away. But we're trying. Every day we're trying. And isn't that what healing really is? Not forgetting what happened. Not pretending the pain wasn't real. But choosing every single day to keep moving forward anyway. Victoria writes me sometimes. Letters that are screened before I receive them. She tells me about her therapy breakthroughs. About understanding her obsessive patterns. About grieving her lost children properly now instead of trying to replace them. I'll never stop being sorry, she wrote in her last letter. But I'm learning that saying sorry isn't enough. I have to do the work to actually become someone different. Someone who handles pain without hurting others. Someone who can accept loss without trying to steal someone else's joy. I write her back. Not every time, but sometimes. Tell her about Oliver's latest accomplishments. About my own therapy journey. About learning what it means to live beyond trauma. Some people don't understand it. My siblings think I'm crazy for maintaining any contact with her. Melissa worries it's not healthy. My mom respects my choice but doesn't fully agree with it. But Marcus understands, I think, because he knows what it's like to be the villain in someone else's story. To have made choices that hurt people. To have to live with guilt and try to become better anyway. You're showing her there's life after mistakes, he told me. That people aren't just defined by their worst moments. That's a gift. Life is strange like that. Messy and painful and beautiful all at once. The woman who tried to steal my baby is in prison. The man who lied to me is sleeping in our bed. The baby who was almost taken is playing with blocks in the living room. And somehow, impossibly, we're all healing. Not perfectly, not easily, but genuinely, and maybe that's enough. Maybe choosing healing over hatred, compassion over contempt, forgiveness over fury. Maybe that's the real victory. Victoria may never have the family she wanted. Marcus may never fully escape the guilt of his past. And I may never completely forget the terror of waking up to find scissors at my throat. But we're all still here, still trying, still believing that people can be more than their worst moments. And in a world that often feels dark and unforgiving, maybe that's its own kind of miracle.